It's that time of the week when we go out to the other coast of the United States. It's a place called Hollywood where dreams are made. But this guy isn't a dream, it's just Michael Snyder. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, and hi, everyone out there in GABNet and Roku Land and everywhere else. And yeah, dreams are made, dreams are dashed, and we have some movies to review. So let's get right to it. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. That's an unwieldy title. We'll just call it Hobbs and Shaw. It is, as you might expect, an offshoot of the billion-dollar stunt-filled Fast and Furious movie franchise, which is already 8 movies and counting of action, adventure, criminal escapades, and auto racing. This movie takes 2 of the more beloved actors who play over-the-top characters from the previous installments, Dwayne Johnson as super-strong, hotshot American security agent and bounty hunter Hobbs, who's a doting single dad of a precocious young daughter, and Jason Statham as martial arts savvy, licensed-to-kill style British operative Shaw, a hard man of honor who operates outside the law, of course. And the film forces them together as oil and water partners, despite their dislike for one another, because it's going to take 2 main men to defeat a very powerful enemy looking to get control of a deadly super virus. So Hobbs and Shaw is set after the last Fast and Furious, but it's not really a sequel since it goes to a place closer to Marvel Comics and James Bond movies than the previous movies pedal to the metal hyper-reality. It introduces a full-on supervillain in cyber and machine-enhanced operative Brixton, who works for a shadow organization dedicated to taking over the world, and he's played by the more than formidable Idris Elba. I guess, punching the clock, making some cash. There are some fun cameos that I will not spoil here. In addition to Helen Mirren returning to the role of Shaw's mother, an elegant, well-off woman of questionable virtue, and the always great Eddie Marsan as a compromised scientist. But the best addition to the cast is British actress Vanessa Kirby, best known up till now for playing Princess Margaret on The Crown. Here, Kirby is Hattie, Shaw's resourceful little sister, a lithe, kick-ass presence, and MI6 agent who becomes crucial to the plot, such as it is. The movie's script is sprinkled with some funny one-liners, and the bickering Johnson and Statham handle all that with relish, but it seems dashed off like something screenwriter Chris Morgan needed to do after storyboarding a bunch of admittedly outrageous action scenes, car chases, and fights. And to be fair, director David Leitch and his crew somehow upped the ante in the crazy stunt department and managed to put together a few things I've certainly never seen before. And I've seen every Bond, Mission Impossible, and Fast and Furious movie. This is pretty certain to spawn a Hobbs and Shaw specific sequel, especially since Johnson and Statham are not slated to appear in Fast and Furious 9, even if Mirren is. And as inconsequential as it is, it was fun to watch. Big time bargain matinee. All right, let's get to something a little more serious, a little artier. The Nightingale is a well-crafted, tense, and thoughtful movie from Jennifer Kent, the Australian writer-director responsible for the pretty fine contemporary horror movie The Babadook. The Nightingale is actually a period piece, and the horrors we see are not supernatural, but they're the work of men. It's set in Australia in 1825 when the land was being forcibly colonized by the British, as in warring against the native Aboriginal tribes that had lived there for eons. As the continent also served as a penal colony for the British, there were indentured whites as well, such as Claire, a 21-year-old Irish convict wife and new mother with, by the way, a beautiful voice, a.k.a. the Nightingale, and her 7-year sentence is up. But she's still being enslaved by her master, a prick British lieutenant. The lieutenant and a few of his men seem to be able to do whatever they like with no reprisals from their superior officers, and Claire and her husband fall victim to the soldiers' abuse. This leads Claire on a journey to seek justice or revenge, reluctantly assisted by an Aboriginal tracker. This is good stuff. It's got its share of relevance in the 21st century world, which is still torn by prejudice and bigotry. The actors are all terrific, especially this young woman, Eiling Franciosi, who plays Claire, and a more familiar face, Sam Claflin, as the lieutenant. I recommend this highly, but it will also be very, very watchable on video. A top-notch cast and a provocative, timely situation with elements of mystery make for a powerful movie in Luce, Luce, a feature that addresses race and class divisions with a very deft touch. So we have a little, a theme going here. The title is the name of the movie's central character, Luce Edgar, who is a high school honor student adopted by his well-off white suburban parents when he was a brutalized child refugee from a war zone in Africa. As played by Kelvin Harrison Jr., he's charming, eloquent, driven, and a class leader, well-liked by peers and admired by most of the faculty and administration, and he's a caring son to his mom and dad, played by Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. But being a role model can come with some expectations, not to mention the baggage beyond the serious baggage this kid and his parents have had and have had to address since childhood. When one of his admiring teachers, played by Octavia Spencer, is disturbed by an essay he writes about a historical figure for her class, it sets off a chain of very troubling events that put Luce in the crosshairs and force those who love and respect him to question their perceptions. This is impressive stuff from director and co-screenwriter Julius Ona, and again, this will work well on the big screen or at home. High marks for Luce. Finally, let's talk briefly about Love, Antosha. It's a forthright, very detailed documentary about the very short and yet incandescent life of actor Anton Yelchin, and it is a heartbreaker. Directed by Garrett Price, the movie uses copious footage, including interviews of Yelchin during his brief yet prolific career in film and TV, clips of his performances, home video provided by the family, and tributes from colleagues, including Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana, Kristen Stewart, Jodie Foster, Willem Dafoe, even J.J. Abrams is there. And there are loving, sometimes painful recollections and reflections from his parents and friends. You see the kid grow from this imaginative child, the son of Russian Jewish ice dancers who came to the States, to this precocious pubescent, to this savvy and very philosophical young man who appeared in the feature films including Alpha Dog and Green Room, and had a star-making turn in Charlie Bartlett. I know most people know him for playing Ensign Chekhov in the recent reboot of Star Trek, but his acting career began when he was a kid, and he's held his own opposite like Anthony Hopkins and even Larry David. He was in a very, very funny Curb Your Enthusiasm episode when he was a kid, as these things go. I was very, very moved by the film. And more to the point, it's kind of a eulogy to him, and it lets people see some of the work he did and makes you sad at what he wasn't going to be able to do because he was taken in an awful accident. And you find out actually that he was dealing most of his life with, of all things, cystic fibrosis. So he had kind of a death sentence to boot. Anyway, I recommend Love, Antosha. What are you watching? What are you up to?
Nothing much. We went and saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Marjorie liked it. I felt it was maybe the worst film that Quentin Tarantino's made so far. I'm a big fan of Tarantino, and I felt he missed the mark on this. I think he was going for the payday rather than for really sharp writing and so on. There weren't the long acting pieces that you normally have from him. The only good thing about the picture is it may be Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance, but outside of that, I was very unimpressed with it. Just absolutely unimpressed. So, there goes my phone. Let me see. Let me stop it.
Anyway. Quentin complaining at your opinion? Quentin's calling.
Yeah.
I agree with you. DiCaprio was great. I disagree with you about most everything else you said. But, chocolate and vanilla maybe.
Well,
in any case,
not chocolate and vanilla. This is, geez. Will you please not call me? I'm doing an interview.
Hey, I love this. Anyway, look, you can check me out on Twitter.
Let me finish. Let me finish with this picture a second.
Okay, sure.
It has no real substance to it. It's a nice period piece. He recreates the period beautifully, as with his previous picture with Hitler, where he killed Hitler off in that picture.
Whoa, hold it. Spoiler alert.
No, he
plays with history.
He plays with history, yeah.
He does.
I don't mind that in the least. I find that maybe the best thing about this movie. But I just think it's not, as Tarantino goes, it's subpar Tarantino.
Well, okay. Thanks for weighing in on it. It's
I know my opinion.
device.
I know my opinion doesn't matter to you, but I thought I'd
No,
just say it anyway.
it matters to an extent. It's a very divisive movie. Let's put it that way. But I will say this, as I was trying to say, you can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on
Well,
Michael
wait a minute.
Snyder's Culture Blast page.
Got to start the theme here so that Anyway, go ahead. Where can they find you?
Facebook, here on GABNet. It's we're covering the waterfront. All right, back to you.
You were around town more than a cheap suit, as they used to say. Anyway, that's it. Sorry for the call coming in, but my wife should know I'm doing an interview right now. Anyway, stay tuned for more GABNet coming right up, okay?